Kia ora from Aotearoa. Poppy here. Hey there. Hope you're all doing well, coming through all the challenges and all the purging and everything that's going on. Yep, we're still here. Today I'm talking about time, the now, the illusions of timeline consciousness, and a few other things. So anyway, we are here. Every attempt made to challenge us has been making us stronger and stronger. It adds more awareness to the kinds of things we can declare our non-consent to. Yep, keep non-consenting to everything out loud, putting it out into the field. Everything can be flipped around to work in our favour. We are correcting the inverted old way after all. So if you're feeling swamped, helpless, or overwhelmed, like I have been, it's been happening to all hyper-empaths and sensitive people everywhere, because we do receive very similar light codes depending on where the light is shining and when. There's information in them, the photons. Suicide programs came up for me strongly, and that was tough, but I've been used to it. It's been a lifelong thing. But this one was because I was remembering, and we all are clearing out some of the more ancient obstacles and limits from our systems. Let's keep honouring and allowing that, because if we resist it, it will come at us with more force until we do get the message. So pure observation is witnessed through the heart, and let's not allow our minds to judge or get caught in what we are observing. It's a massive purging after all. My symptoms were very stroke-like, disabling my voice and interfering with some mobility. It was feeling rather hopeless, and took me back to a time where I was caged, restrained, and placed in extremely hostile surroundings as a little child. Yeah, it was pretty tough. And just with all these symptoms, I do find it rather, like my mind was saying all sorts of things. Oh, you can't go to the hospital because they'll just incarcerate you, da-da-da-da-da. And it was going, and I had to find my way out of that. And, interesting. But this programming may have been a potential setup for this time, what happened to my little child. However, I know now with certainty that Source Creator, of which I'm a part of, just like everyone else who has chosen to stay a more pure soul, always has a possibility in a way. It took some time to arrive at this, and part of it was allowing the feelings of my little child to express. She was really feeling like, here I am, I've been beaten, everything, and no one cares and no one's going to save me. I think a child just expects to be saved because they normally have adults that do that. And so that can actually, if that's not resolved until adulthood, we can still feel like someone has to come and save us, but it's actually ourselves that do it. So it felt like my adult self, couldn't get to rescue her this time. It was like she was behind a kind of a frequency fence. I had to use my creativity to find the way to save her. Actually, just with that frequency fence thing, it's almost like I keep, the inner world, the outer world sort of merging and melding, is that it does feel like there's a frequency fence that's been around all of us. And I've actually kept getting visions. It's kind of like a huge terrarium or something, and it just shatters. This is a possibility. But anyway, I'm glad that the frequency fence around my little girl finally shattered, and that I had the use of my creativity to find the way to save her. It meant seeing what kinds of entities or beings were related to the experience and dealing with them too, and returning them to source for recycling into something no longer harmful. Gosh. So it's, like we've been in an inverted world. Sometimes I find my words get mixed up. They go to the opposite, because I guess I'm still coming out of the inversion. It must be part of me coming out there. So many of us do this simultaneously, like we are going through similar things at the same time. And it means that the great field that we share is getting cleared up even more quickly. Everything that is unlike love is being transformed into the harmony and balance necessary that creates a more loving, honest and free existence. We are doing it. And we can actually be proud of ourselves, as these efforts are very masterful. That's what we're coming into. We're coming to know ourselves more deeply, especially as we become more familiar with our personal journey and not the journeys and lives of others. It's very easy to get distracted into that, and I think when we have got lots of energy and that we're filled up with love, I think there's a real time for that. But if we're feeling really, really depleted, we may just have to withdraw and pull back and just face our own journey, which is what I've had to do. I've just had to do that. And it doesn't mean it's always going to be like that. I'm really looking forward. There will be the now when I am overflowing with love and overflowing with the ability to give and on that process. We are our own leaders, and we are empowered in finding our way from our heart centres. We are the ones who save ourselves and can move through time and space, which is a 3D illusion that can trick and trap, and find the way to get ourselves free of all that has limited us. There's been huge programming. Aging is a program too. I decided to study the topic of physical immortality decades ago. It was so funny. This is when I met my partner, who I really loved, and our lives went on to different tracks, and I had to move on and grow without him. But he started to do courses on physical immortality, and he made a manual from some of his metaphysical teachings that he was involved in at the time. And when he took it to the printers, the word immortality, they left the T out, and so they got all these printed books, and it all said physical immorality. It was quite funny. Anyway, when I went through that was a time where suicidal ideation was huge within me, and so it was actually interesting to explore the other side of that polarity. We were educated into limits so that we could be controlled, and now we are deprogramming. This comes from our heart meditations, and this also brings us back to self-love. Words have a lot of power, and the word timeline has been a word that has triggered me for years, as I knew within that time is not linear. And I still feel it's good to have that in our awareness, to be more in now than on a timeline, or this timeline jumping, this timeline mentality, because it's not believing that time is linear can be very disabling. It means that the remedy is in other elsewheres. The word timeline insinuates that we cannot heal our past or influence our future. When we are living intuitively from our hearts, we are present. All is now. The idea that we jump onto new timelines implies that we change our trajectory and become future orientated that way. We're always looking, this is too painful, I've got to get out of here, it's too painful. But really we have to face our now and deal with the pain that might still be in the now. Just this whole idea of the timelines, it was a source of a lot of my frustration and discomfort with reporting on the Sacred Mind calendar, as it was, that's a way of timekeeping. And I loved it. I learned so much through that calendar. It was incredible. But I found that timekeeping was constantly projecting my consciousness into a future of something that I could expect, because I could read the energies, and I could tell, what kinds of things were going to come up, but rather than just simply trusting in the here and now, and that my fractal of the source creator was competent in the now, it's kind of like a hyper alertness, that I had to know what was coming up so that I could deal with it, rather than just trusting my full connection in my now. We have this now, and our awareness can go anywhere. The heart can guide our awareness. Self-love leads to self-trust. Not needing to know what is in the future. I must admit that my glimpses of the future also kept me going. But those were my insecurities. I'm becoming more and more and more trusting of myself and loving of myself and knowing who I am, as a fractal of source. Like, we're pretty damn amazing, I've got to say. We are liberating ourselves from perceptions and misinformation about who each one of us really is. A lot has been manufactured through control systems that got a whole bunch of us contracting to the secret space program and participating in a war that needed to be our own. Our consciousness was used as a weapon, and it is up to us whether we choose to participate in it or not. It's certainly experience, that's for sure. But when I realised that my consciousness was still going into fighting a battle, which I don't believe in fight, I withdrew my consciousness, and things did change after then. Non-consent is powerful, and we can become more masterful with our consciousness. We choose where our consciousness goes, and we can release ourselves of quantum entanglements that keep our energy feeding others. The secret space program is another secret society that has been run. I'm sure that, from my experience, the CIA tricked me into a lot of things regarding extraterrestrials, and that I need to defend and all of this sort of thing, that I have to fight some valiant battle. It can really hook your ego in, and I really felt that my ego was hooked in there for a time. I felt I was doing something really good, but it was just a looping system of war. War is always a looping system, and it's fear, it's control. Anyway, this year we've had the Epstein files released, the UFO files, and the MK Ultra tactics being disclosed, and all of this these are things that have all massively influenced my life. And even though I haven't looked into it all that deeply, and I've tried to stay away from it, if you're going to interact with anybody, it's going to come up. It's really been a challenge, and it's actually been causing me to have even bigger clear outs and to understand and comprehend things at a deeper level. I was so entangled, I have not felt that my life has been my own, and like so many, I've been reclaiming myself for my purpose. I think we all feel like that, like everything just intervened, control came in, working hard, what would we do if our life was really our own? And that we will be, and we are doing that as we reclaim our lives. I found spending a decent time with nature was a part of my coming home to myself and gaining the strength I needed to break through this last programming hurdle. Being with myself and reconnecting with organic consciousness really happens. Yeah, so I went out and this footage of this beautiful bird, putting on a display for us, just spending time, just being in nature, just observing, hearing the waterfall. It just really brought me back to myself and just reconnecting with the organic consciousness. Prayers and intentions spoken out loud carried the frequency that brought the miracles that helped me get through. I had some spontaneous assistance with a kind man who's given me frequency treatments. I told him I was having stroke symptoms, and he treated my brain injuries, and the next morning it was better. And I once again it was improved, and I once again had the strength and creativity to save my little child and bring her back into my heart, to love her, to love myself, to even feel gratitude again. Because I was feeling very lost and bogged down in there, I couldn't get to her, there was a frequency fence. There's always a way. More support and connection is coming. I am so grateful. I've been so isolated and restricted for so long, and I am grateful to be able to move beyond it in each now moment. Actually make the most of isolation, make the most of this time where I'm bringing myself back, from don't know how many brinks of disasters that's been. But as fractals of Source Creator, really, we have nothing to fear. In the moment, we discover and intuit what we really need to know for that moment. I feel that I've been in both my future and my past, and that my now is a focal point that is undoing the trauma and suffering for eons. If there was time, then I guess it would be like time traveling, but I don't even know that I can actually describe it. It's a bit beyond our comprehension sometimes. But when the trauma and the suffering is gone, we are left with clarity, and natural innate gifts return, like our empathy, our seeing, our sensing, our self-healing ability, our knowing. We see, we know. It's actually simple in the now. We just keep breathing and correcting everything that has been unlike love, so that love becomes the way. Also, I cannot explain exactly what love is. It's only the experience of it that causes us to know it. If you're listening to this, you probably do know, you who do have a reference of it, but some people don't. To me it is source, and it is nature coming back to balance and harmony. I feel that the illusion of timelines is very strong programming and a foundation for captivity and limitation. And our consciousness is empowered, but it's not if it's outside of us, behind us, or before us. So in the now, we're totally present. But if we've just jumped a timeline, then our consciousness goes out and it tries to look way over here, and we actually lose sight of ourselves. So I can feel like it can be a little bit tricky. It's not actually the easiest thing to explain. Anyway, it's wonderful to see how quickly we are becoming clearer and stronger and remembering who we are. Life was highly coordinated, under control. They did it by controlling our minds, but they cannot control our heart awareness, which is the key to our freedom. Our outer worlds inform our inner worlds, and our inner world, when it's heart-centered, is able to discern in each now moment. So when we feel hit, when we have sudden symptoms, etc., our heart will get to the bottom of it and find the way, whereas minds can further stupefy us. But I don't want to put the mind down. Our minds are wonderful, and they just need to be responding to the guidance of our hearts. So that's a really important role. We really, really, really do need our minds, and can be grateful for them. The experiment that's been seeded through eugenics, mind hacking, governance and control is ending through each one of us as we return to ourselves, to love and the purity and innocence of our souls. Just like children, I remember being a child, and it was like, what the heck? What, money? You have to work. Why is Dad always away? Why is everything so harsh? And just the innocence was robbed so young. And when that innocence is robbed so young, then you don't have a life of your own. So let's imagine if our children could grow with this maintained, not having to be conditioned into these fictitious things like monetary systems, health problems, aging, and anything where energy is taken, traded, or exchanged. Anyway, thanks for listening, and lots of love. Love is expanding, and it's purging all that is unlike itself.